It's a perfect Thursday today. We had a nice practice again today. We've had a good week of practice. I think our kids are excited to get this thing started and find out what kind of football team we have. I think it's always, there's some anxious, moments prior to the game where you just kind of want to find out what you have. You play against each other for a month and you don't know what you have really until you get out there and see how these guys are going to play, how they're going to react to an empty stadium. So it's going to be, an interesting game. A lot of things change. Just the whole pregame is, it's going to be quiet and different. So that's going to be the first adjustment. We haven't had an opportunity to get into Heinz Field yet. We have some freshmen that have never stepped in Heinz Field except on the recruiting visit. So we're looking forward to getting them in. Got a little walkthrough tomorrow, rehearsal, kind of just to, look and kind of go like this and see what your surroundings are. So I'm looking forward to getting that thing done tomorrow. But we're ready to roll. Questions?
Pat, did you watch BYU Navy? And do you have that kind of panic as a head coach? It's like, oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen to us.
Yeah, no, I watched a little bit of it, but I don't have that panic. I kind of mentioned on my radio show, and I don't know if I mentioned it to you, early in the whole process during practice, we had a staff member, I'll just say, Coach, we just got to get to the game. And I'm like, we ain't just getting to the game. I'm not getting to a game. I listen to everybody in our staff meetings, but we just got to get to the game, and I'm like, we ain't getting to a game. This game is a physical game. It's a tough game. And I understand what Ken was doing. He was trying to be safe, but there's a way of being safe. And again, it really comes down from UPMC. We did one, I think just one, maybe two practices where we just went out there with just, half the team and practice, the ones, and then the twos went afterwards the next day. And, really UPMC said, hey, that's not how we play a game. The whole team's out there. We got to practice that way. And if we can't make it to September, then we can't make it. So I really feel like the advice they gave us helped us just kind of, in our mindset as far as how to approach this thing. So, when we were allowed to tackle, we were tackling live. We weren't tackling donuts. I really feel bad for them, because you have that sense of safety that you want for your kids. But, I feel like we were able to be a tough football team. We were able to tackle, physical, block, run hard as running backs. We didn't tackle donuts, and it's kind of unfortunate. But there's some teams out there maybe took that avenue and maybe they learned and cranked it up here the last week after that Monday night disaster. But that won't happen in Heinz Field.
What's the policy? And I apologize if I missed this, if you've discussed it or it was announced, but what's the ACC's policy as far as what you guys have to release in terms of active players, inactive players, when you start having to deal with guys who might be positive or, potential exposure? What do you have to announce or release before the game?
I don't know. That's a great question. I've never said anything, and, it's something, I guess, in the next 24 hours. We're waiting on results from Wednesday's test still. We don't have a result back yet. And then we'll test again tomorrow between noon and 2 o'clock. So I don't know. It's a great question. It's something I'll be asking as soon as I walk out of here, Chris. But it's something that I've wondered, like how are we going to do this? I don't talk about injuries. Jerry's going to be looking for injuries. That's not an injury. So, I don't know if we'll just come out with a quick statement. I don't know what we'll do, but I would guess we probably wouldn't. I don't want to really do it till game time, for all those gamblers. I don't want to assist gambling. Don't you have to put your money down? Don't you have to put your money down before the game? You can't make a bet out, in the first quarter, can you? So to me, it's one of the reasons we don't talk injuries. We tell our kids all the time is there's gambling. It's legalized more than it's ever been. And, we don't want our kids gambling. We don't want parents gambling. And again, I think if some key players are out, that maybe you go, what's that spread again? We're not dealing with that.
You mentioned you guys haven't received the results from Wednesday's test. How did Sunday's go?
It went good. It went real good. So, like I said, I'm not going to talk about all the results. We feel good but it's still scary. And again, I hate going into another test. And, if we test on Friday and we got a 4 o'clock game and it's 1 o'clock on Saturday, are we going to know? Like I don't like it at all. we need some rapid testing. I think it has to happen really quick, or there's going to be some anxious players, and I don't think it's good for I don't think it's good for anybody. I don't think it's good. I'm going to have an ulcer after game 2. So I'm a worry wart. I worry about everything, and you just want to, this is one thing we've never had to worry about. Now you got to worry about this.
But they aren't going to give you results before the game starts. They're not going to come to you at halftime and say so-and-so, has a positive, are they?
Jerry, I have no idea. I sure hope not. I would hope the game would be delayed. Okay, I'm sure ESPN or the ACC network would love that. I would hope the game would be delayed, but we can't put anybody out there that's going to risk anybody else's health. Player safety has got to be the key. So I would imagine the game's going to be delayed. We can't say, well, they didn't get the results back in time. But again, this is uncharted territory. We have no idea. there's a lot of things I wish I could tell you, but I have no idea. These things change daily as far as what's going on. And, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of things to think about. I come up with new questions for the doctors, at least every other day, if not every other or every day. There's just different stuff that goes on. It's like, well, what happens if this happens? There's just, and I won't get into details. I may get into details later with you about this, but I won't get into details right now.
You mentioned that, I guess, tomorrow's testing is between noon and 2. Was that around the same time that yesterday's testing happened? And I guess just trying to get a timeline of how long you guys are really waiting for the
results. I'll be saying a couple rosaries tonight. Wednesday's test was in the morning. We did it before practice. So I would say we tested Wednesday, John, about, again, everybody, it's staggered. So, I was the first one in at 6:30 in the morning. And then, I think, between 6:30 and 7, all our staff is done, at least our coaching staff and GAs. Everybody's got worried about practice. And then we put the players in there. We actually flipped our meetings. So we had, offense test, defense meets, and then we flipped it. So it was done probably before 8 o'clock. We still don't have those results. Now that's through BioReference in New Jersey. And again, the Friday's test will be Mako. And, again, it's a fast turnaround. It really is. But I guess, we test, they throw them all on a plane, private plane, and they're off. I think Mako's out of North Carolina, and they'll zip down there and figure it out. I hope they're right. I hope the results are right.
The decision between which kind of testing people you guys are using, is that done by the ACC, or is that Pitt deciding, hey, we'll use Mako Friday, we'll use BioReference, whatever?
Mako is through the ACC. Friday's test is an ACC test that everybody, Mako's doing. Austin Peay will test in the hangar at Pittsburgh Airport. And when they get here, I guess the results, they're going to take both of them and shoot them down. So I hope they get early. I hope that plane's not delayed, or could delay the results even more. So, there's so many things that could change. I told Coach LaSalle, we'll drive those things down if we have to. We'll get a GA to drive them down to North Carolina. We'll get them there quickly so we can find out. And then, each university has their own testing agency. Again, we tagged along with the Steelers. If you drove by, the Steeler building here, you'd see that there's a lab right out in front of their building that their kids, their players, their men test every day in, and we're kind of going along with BioReference. So it's kind of each university for the Sunday, Wednesday test picks their company that they, that they want to use, that they set a contract with.
Wait here, guys.
How long did it take?
Go ahead, Jerry.
How long did it take you to get Sunday's results back, Pat?
They drag back. I don't even know. They're all running together, Jerry, but we knew Sunday before. I think Sunday we found out no later. But again, here's the deal on Sunday. Okay, there's so, Sunday. Usually we bring our kids in the afternoon. Let's just say we play Boston College, and we're not going to bring the guys. We get back from Boston College. Let's say it's a night game. We get back at 1 o'clock in the morning. We don't bring our kids back Sunday morning. So we try to give them the afternoon, let them have the morning to go to church and do what they normally do on a Sunday. So, we knew they'd be a little later on Sunday, and I think we'll probably keep it the same. And I let the kids know this. Hey, we'll get the results back quicker if I bring you in early Sunday morning. But the results had to be done by 11 a.m. on Sunday to get to New Jersey on Sunday. And I was like, well, I didn't want to change our schedule and get our kids to all come in early and, and not give them any time. They need, you talk about, their student athletes, they have a life. I want to make sure we're not waking them up early. We wake them up every morning early. Sundays that one morning they can sleep in. They'll have a 9 o'clock wake up on Saturday. So the weekends are the weekends. They're young kids. And so we didn't change our schedule. So they probably didn't leave here until Monday. So we got those, I want to say Tuesday afternoon. We had most of them Tuesday afternoon. We've tried to say, hey, this is the players' bag. Here's a box. This is all the players. This is all the coaches. I don't care about the coaches. I want our players to feel easy and get their results back as quickly as possible. If I have a player that texts me, Coach, did you get my results yet? As soon as I get his, I'm personally texting kids just so they can rest easy that they're good. And it's anxious moments for these poor kids. It's hard. 3 times a week they're waiting to see if they're good, if they got the cooties. So, it's not easy.
Do you feel like even with all this, once you get that first hit or first series, do you anticipate it to be like a normal game, at least what happens on the field?
I do, Jeff. And again, even the crowd for that matter. I mean, I think the weird part will be about, pregame guys like the crowd and all that. And there's recruits on the sideline. We don't have a recruiting weekend. We got no visitors, Chris. But I think once the game starts, it doesn't matter. Nobody pays attention to the crowd anyway. We'll have some crowd noise out there just to keep it, something looking normal for the guys, and have some music going in between plays. We'll try to keep everything about as similar as we possibly can.
Pat, with the with Austin Peay and the way they run the football, a lot of that forces a lot of edge players to have to be more patient often when you're talking about triple option and considering different things. What kind of stuff have you guys worked on to kind of prepare your front to kind of still be aggressive but also be disciplined against that kind of a run game?
Yeah, Chris, we've gone against those type of teams before in the past, and shoot, I think we beat Georgia Tech 3 out of 4 years. Probably should have beat them 4 out of 4. But we just got to go into a different mode, and you have to slow down a little bit. Our stances will help us as far as how that goes. I mean, we'll be in kind of these little froggy looking stances. If you go back and look at some Georgia Tech versus, we'll be in these, because you don't want to attack. The worst thing you do is attack, and you've got to play lateral in that game and keep linebackers clean as much as you can. So that'll be the issue. But we've been pretty good at doing it. It's not foreign to our coaches or our players. And again, we did it just last year against Duke, thank God. And so it's even in that bank as well. And again, it's a little bit different than the Georgia Tech stuff and the Duke stuff that they replicated, because it's all shotgun. It's and again, here's the thing I say about it is, they're not an option team. Okay, they're not Georgia Tech. They're not an option team. So you waste time doing that. We waste time. We got some good stuff for it. And I feel good about our package.
And how about defensively? Cordell Jackson, obviously, I think it's 7 picks last year. What stands out to you about them on defense?
He's a football player. Cordell's he's a football player. I mean, he pops off the tape. He popped off the TV. In their opener, you just kind of go, who's 13? Look at his, stuff. He's a football player. I think he could probably play anywhere in the country, to be honest with you. He really stands out as a football player for them. Number 44, their D tackle. I think it's a weird first, Jason Smith, maybe. He's a dude up front. He's tough. He did not play last week. So he's, biting at the bit to get out here. And again, they're going to play their Super Bowl. This is a bowl game for them. They get 3 games. I've let our kids know that. You guys know we've been in tight games. We've got to play a darn good football game to beat these guys. Nothing's easy. Nothing's given.
Coach, is your game day speech different? You said the kids are stressed about their tests. I know we talked to a lot about their parents not being able to come for the first time in years. And is your game day speech and leading up to it different because of everything going on?
I haven't even thought about it yet, Kelly. I mean, you're way ahead. I mean, you're thinking about the game day speech. It's only Thursday. What is it? Thursday, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I never thought about it. But I would say it's not going to be any different. It's not about the parents. It's about the guys in that room. I just got to make sure I don't spit. Sometimes I got to wear this mask, and I got to make sure I don't spit on game day, because I get excited. I scream, and probably the guys in the front row normally would get sprayed. So I got to make sure that doesn't happen. Maybe I got to wear a big shield for that.
During the week, like Miami plays tonight, how much do you pay attention to other games and watch football during the week?
If it's a later game and it's a night that we got off, I mean, this week has been a little bit easier than a normal week. Next week, I won't get to watch much at all. But this week, I'll be popping in on that game tonight. Again, just because we were ahead on Austin Peay and we didn't have to grind into the wee hours of the evenings. But next week it'll be totally different. We're usually, shoot, for the last 20 years, I've always been home on a Thursday night football. I've always enjoyed Thursday night football. Usually, back when I was a D coordinator, I'd be working my game plan. I'd type up my game plan myself on my laptop and get distracted by the TV. It was always watch TV and do a game plan. As a head coach, then I'm working on other stuff, watching video, whatever it may be, watching practice tape, and watching the game at the same time. So multitasking, I'm watching football games anytime I'm home. My kids and my wife know they're putting on the game for me. When I walk through the door, it's on.
Pat, there's some guys on this squad that I think should be at least pretty familiar to you guys you've seen before. Damian Barber was with Penn State. And I think another one of their defensive linemen came from Duke. They've got an Ohio State D1 bounce back at running back. Is that different? I mean, you have a lot of experience with FCS level football. Is that a relatively new thing to you that you draw an FCS team and you've got maybe a half a dozen former Power 5 guys on that team? And I don't know, what's your thoughts about that as a guy with a pretty long association with a couple of FCS programs?
Yeah, it's nothing new. I think there's more of them. I think there's, the portal, as you guys know, the last 2 years, I guess, is, there's more guys in the portal. There's more availability. But even when I was coaching at Rhode Island, we had we had a kid named Travis McGuire from Massillon High School, committed to Ohio State out of Massillon High School. He played tailback for us at Rhode Island. We had I don't remember all the names. We had a transfer tailback, I forget his name, from Clemson. We had a kid named Ken Mastroli, a quarterback at Maryland. That was a quarterback for us at Rhode Island. So, that's been going on for years and years. There was no portal. Sometimes they have to sit out the old days. And, there wasn't many grad transfers. So that's been going on for years. And, I think you're always trying to get a few of those if there's somebody who can help you program. James, the tailback from Clemson was James. Golly, I can see his face, a big son of a gun. Not James Jackson, maybe James Jackson, but.
Pat, you talked early in the week. Sorry, Jeff, but you talked earlier in the week about how you wanted to see how Marcus Williams and Devin Danielson and a few other guys approached this game week as being starters. How have you seen their progress throughout all that?
Yeah, I mean they've done a nice job, and Danielson's been good. David Green's been good. And Tyler Bentley's been really good. And Kalijah Cansey is a guy that's, he's kind of an electric guy that you may watch more of him on a third down. Maybe not a run stopper right now, but he's a pass rushing specialist, kind of like Jalen Twyman. He's got a little bit of that twitch to him. So those guys are, they've had a good week of practice. They've adjusted to a game plan. It's like I tell them, hey, you're not playing Pittsburgh. You're playing, this is game week. This is, game conditions. It's adjusting to a different offense every week, whether it's the option or what every offense is a little bit different, even though they're an 11 personnel team, 3 wideouts and a tight end and running back, they're always doing something different. So there's always an adjustment. There's different checks on the defensive line. There's different things they have to listen to weekly that are different.
And obviously Jimmy gets a lot of attention in the middle, but Hargrove and Cradle, what kind of job have you seen them do, and what are expectations for them on either side of Jimmy?
You know what? Both Bryce and Jake have done a really good job at doing what they need to do in there. And again, that offensive line, they call themselves the Hogs. Okay, so I mean, they're maybe the most cohesive unit on our football team. That those guys do everything together. In camp, they wear the same stinky, smelly shirt. They had a passion shirt this year, and they got they're into their doing. This is their little sign. They're Hogs, and I won't get into why it's that and what it is, but their big thing has been passion. They've had their little motto going into camp, like a bunch of skill guys, but Bryce and Jake have done a great job inside. Matt Gunn Always would probably be the first guard in both spots there at this point, and be able to help out for us.
Pat, on previous Thursdays, you've always said that the Hayes and the barn were ready to go. Given the truncated spring practice, the quarantine, and the problems you've had getting the team together this summer, what's the readiness of this team now compared to what it's been in previous seasons on a Thursday?
It's exactly where we've been. It's a good question, Jerry. I don't feel like we're off at all. And like I said, you talked about, Navy and BYU game, and Ken. I won't even try to pronounce his last name. But we're ready. We're ready just like we were for any other opener. Our preparation's been the same. I mean, as a head football coach, you have a plan as far as this is what we're going to do. We had an extra week. We got the amount of practices in that we needed. We're not like short going, hey, we're going to an opener with only 19 practices. You listen to some of the things that are happening down at Tennessee, and then who else canceled a game this week because they don't have enough. Was it Temple? Say we didn't have enough practice days in. We got to get more practice. I feel good with where we are. I feel we're right on track. This team is as ready as they were last year or the year before or the year before. And that's a tribute to our staff. That's a tribute to our doctors, our trainers, and everybody. And it's a major tribute to our kids of believing in what we're doing, how we're doing it, and trusting that we're doing things right.
Do you have any final questions for Coach? No? Well, then we thank everybody for joining us. Coach, thanks for your time.
All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you Saturday.